The committee has been meeting for probably over a year now. The idea has been running around here for well over 2 years. Officially, I think you'll find the idea occurred at a Hamfest up in Logan Lake in 2000. So it's taken a long time to get to this point, but the way the time has gone in the last few months, it's amazing. We're here already, and if you ever went to the website and saw the countdown clock on there, you'll know what I mean. It got scary for those of us in the committee. All right, so what I'd like to do then is call on, first of all, Wilford BE 70HM, the RAC 2002 chairman.
As Doug said, officially this started about year 2000 when Ken Oakey, BE6 AFO, and myself sat down, and I think Ken fed me a couple too many beers. So anyway, here we are today. We submitted a proposal. Took a couple months to hear back, and the executive board at RAC unanimously endorsed it and said go for it.
Yeah, well said, ditto.
I really wanted to say thanks to everybody first before I kind of get into some of the other little housekeeping things I had here. Without everybody that's here, this thing just would not happen at all. The guys from registration, I don't know if anybody's here left or they're still down registering, they all deserve a giant round of applause because they did a incredible job. So don't leave tonight without your official tags. This is the tag that there's an information sheet that you get with registration that people talk about checking for people with the special pretty pink colored neckties here.
The big concern, I guess, for volunteers would be those in operations and the security component of that. We're going to have obviously an issue with the number of people we can let into each of the rooms. I believe, for instance, this room is scheduled right now with 150 chairs. I think we can have more than that, but we're going to have to keep an eye on the numbers. So this room will be 150, the room 2 and 3 are 125, our official numbers at this point in time.
This session, as it says up there, is the Internet Radio Linking Project, IRLP, and this is the technical seminar. Two people to present it. First of all, Dave Cameron, BE7LTD. Dave is a UBC grad. In 1993, he was licensed in amateur radio at UBC through the Amateur Radio Society, and he was also pursuing a degree in chemical engineering. Dave Cameron, BE7LTD.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I want to say I finished that chemical engineering degree, so it didn't all get taken away. Okay, this is the first question that everybody always asks me when it comes to IRLP, and that is, why did you use Linux? And these are basically the reasons Linux really is a superior server platform over Windows NT.
When I originally designed IRLP, I didn't expect it to blossom as it did, and what it ended up with is starting to grow beyond the abilities of some of the computers that we're using on the network. So it's basically just like an upgrade to allow it to grow to its new levels. I mean, I never imagined it would be 500 nodes 4 years down the road. Or it was slow at the beginning, but the last year has shown 350 nodes added to the system. Right now, the server load is getting higher and higher and higher every day, and by distributing servers in different areas, it just gives us better redundancy. So if one goes down, the other three will then take the load of the one that's missing, and it'll basically allow the system to be scaled up to 20,000-30,000 nodes if it's required in the future.
Building your own EQSO nodes, and these kind of digital nodes such as Echolink, which I also discussed, and EQSO are something that they're very simple to build. The average amateur could build them. And I suspect that in the very near future, maybe 1 in 4 or so amateurs will have their own node of some kind. Echolink is a one-on-one radio link with, so you're contacting through your handheld, you're contacting another radio that's attached to your computer and dialing a number, very much like IRLP, in order to talk to a friend over the internet. So that would be what Echolink is like. EQSO, on the other hand, is a chat room. It's a computer chat room. You set the room, usually I choose the 101 English room, which is a set of repeaters from stretching from London up into England. I would like to see EQSO used as a way of protecting bands that are not used, such as the 220 band. Clubs could build an EQSO node for $100 to $200 in the 220 band, and instantly we get activity. Canadian call signs would come out on that frequency even if they didn't have a radio, because you can connect by computer to the chat room and you'd come out on the club's 220 It's different from the IRLP in that you can connect by computer, and you can also connect by radio. The IRLP only allows you to connect by radio, and that can be quite a lot of fun.
444 blind amateurs registered with us from across Canada. We cover Newfoundland to BC. And I can say that teaching the blind is fascinating. You better think about it, and rewarding.
What programs do you offer?
The biggest one is finding the blind who could benefit from the hobby. The second biggest program is providing transceivers. We buy from Kenwood directly at good prices, pass on those savings. The purchaser can buy the radio outright, lease it to own over 6 years, and we do have radio amateurs blind who don't have many resources. We'll give them a free loan radio.
That's neat.
Since 1967, we've provided $700,000 worth of radios of all kinds, and we have 70,000 out on loan across Canada. We do represent the blind to Industry Canada and to the manufacturers. I've written the manufacturers about every 2 years over the last decade. At least one manufacturer has reacted and given us a radio that's real easy to operate. Industry Canada is another dimension. Their normal way of testing a sighted person really isn't on for the blind. I met them. They thought what we were doing was great, said carry on.
can turn and go up and down. That will be controlled from the inside of the station, and you'll be able to point the antennas anywhere in azimuth to 360 degrees, and then also elevation. It's up to 90 degrees, so we can follow a satellite as it goes right over the top of us. We've got about 8 satellites we have programmed into there right now, and we'll be following 8 or 10 satellites throughout the event, including the International Space Station. They're all Oscars, orbital satellites carrying amateur radio, so we're using them to just to show people, basically demonstrate the availability of the different modes of operation available to hams, and one of them being satellite. For a dual band rig and that kind of stuff, so they have the capability, usually right off the bat, to work places like the International Space Station or UO-14 or one of the other FM satellites that goes over. And I'm hoping that by getting this stuff on display this weekend, more people will become interested in it, and they'll maybe get more guys up on those satellites, because they're a tremendous thing to be able to use your handheld radio and talk over all over North America. Indicators turn north, and not only north, but I also got to get them flat.
You and your family and friends have a great time in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia, and that this little taste of this beautiful area of BC will convince you to return repeatedly. Here he is, and I'm going to call him Mr. RAC 2002, Wilfred Mulder.
Good morning, fellow amateurs and honored guests. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the RAC 2002 National Convention. Yesterday saw the beginnings of our extensive program, and today and tomorrow will bring about much more. We hope you find the program exciting and dynamic.
Thank you, Wilfred, for all the effort you have put into making this an outstanding convention. Next on the list of speakers is the acting mayor of the city of Vernon, Councillor David O'Keefe.
It's an odd sort of thing when people introduce you as the acting mayor, and everybody sort of wonders what an acting mayor does, but this is it.
A number of the executives of the Radio Amateurs of Canada are with us today. Mr. Bill Gillis, DE1WG from Moncton, New Brunswick, is the president of RAC.
Thank you, Doug, and good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I'd like to bring you greetings from the RAC board members and the members of RAC's executive.
Next to the speakers is our regional representative for RAC, the Pacific Regional Director of Radio Amateurs of Canada is Mr. Dennis Livesay, VE7 Delta Kilo.
Thank you, Doug, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's so good to be here and see the work that the 700 people and the organizing committee of 65 under Wilfred, how much work they have done, because I'm sure it took more than the people involved to accomplish this tremendous event. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I look at it and I just say, wow. But I'm so happy to be here. And I see all of my friends. I spoke to both of them yesterday. They also found that it was excellent. And marching in behind the bank reminded me, following the band there, that the last time I did that was a very similar occasion, except that the band, they wore kilt. They all wore the kilt. But they all had hairy legs and they were not as good looking. But anyway, thank you very much, and I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you.
I've been an amateur for at least 12 years now. And one thing that I have noticed, it doesn't matter where you go in this country, I'm originally from Ontario, Amateurs from across the country are all the same. They all think the same. They all have the same technical problems. But more than that, they have a sense of community, a sense of friendship amongst amateurs. And like I say, the biggest thing is a sense of community. That's the biggest thing. On the other hand, they're both the biggest, cheapest, miserly bastards ever.
To officially open this convention, and to do that, I will again call on Mr. Wilford Mulder, Mr. Bill Gillis, Mr. Devnis Livesey.
To see this weekend when they come here. We had a variety of seminars ranging from very basic amateur radio operation to some of the leading edge new stuff that's on the market. We have two people, we have Bob Bruninga, WB4 APR, and Dave Cameron, V7 LTD, explaining two of their inventions. One is vehicle tracking, and the other is internet linking. You can communicate with a portable radio and dial up to a local node and communicate with somebody in Antarctica, somebody in Europe, in Australia, New Zealand, and even be communicating to them at the same time. We also have a number of other discussions. We have some legal issues with antennas and the law. We have issues regarding amateur radio at an international level. We're fortunate enough to have Larry Price, W4RA, happens to be the International Amateur Radio Union president here, conducting a seminar. Oh, we have people registered from the UK, from Germany, from all over the U.S., all over Canada. We even have a volunteer who's registered from Brooklyn, and he's here at the convention.
We're trying to enhance the communications. We are extremely useful in emergency situations when cell phones go down, you know, when other forms of communication go down. If it's a family affair, if other members of the family are amateurs, then the children tend to come along as well. But we're trying to change that. We're trying to change the slant, make it not so much an old boys club, but show them the fun of talking around the world. We have a Girl Guides on the Air Day and a Scouts Day where the students come in to one central spot and talk to their counterparts around the world, and that's a huge boost for them. I mean, they think that's such a rush. So that creates a great deal of interest.
Ladies and gentlemen, in your handout, you have a copy of the minutes of the 2001 Annual General Meeting held in Cornwall. These are also published in TCA, the Canadian Amateur. I would happily accept a motion from the floor to approve those minutes as published.
I think it's very important that we all understand that RAC is a membership-based organization, and such things as appointing auditors and the reports from the auditors are addressed to the members. And the board of directors of RAC is directly responsible to the members. So it's you, the members, who control the destiny of RAC. And we hope everybody understands that and appreciates that that's who we work for. We don't work for ourselves, for our own particular interest. We work on behalf of the overall good of the membership. And that's something very important in RAC's organizational structure.
I'm really happy, pleased to be able to give this. I'll read the information on here. And the Radio Amateurs of Canada is presented to the North Okanagan Amateur Radio Club as a cordial expression of gratitude on the occasion of its joining with Orchard City Amateur Radio Club to host the RAC 2002 National Convention. Members of the North Okanagan and Orchard City clubs can take pride in the success of this major national event, fostering the true spirit and fellowship of organized amateur radio in Canada. Sincere thanks to all for a memorable celebration of amateur radio. So anybody from the North Okanagan, I will be happy. Second one for you, sir. Thank you. Upper and lower side.
I have a very pleasant job to perform this afternoon. This is going to be the first RAC Foundation Scholastic Grant presentation. It's a wonderful coincidence. There's going to a member of one of the clubs here, Jesse Lloyd, B7LYD. Jesse was one of the applicants for this foundation grant, and I'm happy to tell you that he was head and heels above the other. On behalf, Jesse, of the RAC Foundation Scholastic Grant, I'd like to present to you this check, which I know you're going to be able to use in furthering your education.
Thank you, Earl. Congratulations, Jesse. Well deserved.
Radio Amateurs of Canada is very interested in the young amateur who's coming along, or those young people who are interested in joining the ranks of amateur radio. It offers a great opportunity not only to learn the technical and scientific end of radio and all the wonderful things that are coming about in terms of space communication and so forth. And it satisfies, besides satisfying that natural scientific curiosity, it also develops a community of friendship within the country and between our country, if we're talking about Canada, and other nations of the world. Because that's one of the great things about amateur radio, being able to communicate with other amateurs around the world. And this, of course, is a wonderful opportunity for youth to have that experience and give them a perspective on the world that maybe they wouldn't get otherwise.
Well, what's happening with IPARN these days is we're building some new terminals using a digital network, similar to a lot of the digital modes that are being used right now. But with IPARN, what we do is we're concentrating on Canada as being the focal point of our network to provide communications across the country for emergencies or any type of other communications that may be required, and encourage general good operating procedures amongst Canadian amateurs, and encourage more use of the bands that we do have. Okay, what IPARN is, it started back in 1988 as an idea between BC and Alberta of way of linking without going the terrestrial route, which was a number of links and hubs and repeaters. What IPARN is, it's an interprovincial amateur radio linking system. The name, as it says, is the Interprovincial Amateur Radio Network. By linking provinces, we've linked BC, Alberta, Ontario, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, all together via the Annex satellite. Up until last year, we were going along nicely, and then costs increased and things changed, so we had to figure out a different way of doing things.
Just a little bit northeast of Edmonton in a place called Lamont. And out there he's got, I think it's 12 or 14 towers up right now. And the towers consist of anything from tri-band antennas to stacked monobanders, 15-meter stack, 10-meter stack, 20-meter stacks. He has two 40-meter full-size beams. One of them is a 5-element, one of them is a 3-element full-size beam, no traps. He's also got a 80-meter full-size beam, no traps. That means the boom length is approximately 60 feet long. Means that the directors, well, the driven element reflector, that's the biggest one. The reflector is 140 feet, non-loaded, no traps, rotatable. Awesome antenna, just absolutely awesome. For the future, Don has planned to put up two 4-square array antennas. So it's two, one for 80 meters and one for 160 meters. Right now, the only thing he has for 160 is a standard run-of-the-mill dipole antenna, and it's not directive. You know, you can't switch its direction, so he's going to replace it with that. And the other big thing he's got coming up is he's going to take down all of the tri-band antennas and he's going to replace them with monobanders. And the big reason for that, of course, is to get rid of some of the cross-band interference when you're trying to run multiple stations on the same band at the same time. You know, what I would do is I would invite anybody to go to Don's website. He's got a very good website. It can be found on the internet. Just either search for V6JY, or you can go to the NARC.net website and follow the links in, and you can get lots of information on his station there. You can see there's lots of pictures of the antennas, some pictures of the whole site.
Because I want to demonstrate APRS, and I was very pleased to see before I left Annapolis, I checked the internet sites, and there was all kinds of APRS activity up here in Vernon. I was very surprised by the activity. The neat thing about it was I landed at the airport, and so I pulled the radio out of my pocket and was able to enter my position and let the people know that I was in town, and there was somebody who was supposed to meet me at the airport, and so he could tell. In fact, within about 5 seconds of turning the radio on, I got a message from the guy who says, you know, welcome to Vernon. And so then all I had to do was look around for the guy in the pink vest that was going to give me the ride from the airport over here. So it's just really neat to be able to. I had no idea of, you know, what voice frequencies, talking frequencies, or anything else. But since the APRS frequency is North American continent-wide, all I got to do is, as long as there's packets that I can hear on that frequency, then I know that I'm in the network and I can communicate.
Closer in, it won't work today because you got a string. I forgot my string, yeah. Right now we're zooming in and moving around the amateur television repeater up on top of Commonage Mountain. And it's all controlled by DTMF control, and we can move the radio, with the radio we can move the camera around and pan all over the place, and we're going up towards Okanagan Lake. And then we can move the camera up and down. We'll move the camera down there, and there you can see Okanagan Lake. And I'll try moving the camera back so I can get it up from behind a tree.
I'd like to pass on, I believe, the experimentation is the fun part. Moon bounce is still a place you can play with antennas, play with power factors, improve preamps, and one thing I think is very, very important, it gives us an opportunity to utilize our microwave spectrums. And it's easy to do now. The satellite TVRO dishes, people are tossing them away because of the advent of the small dishes, and you just find 10, 12-foot dishes. People will just give them to you for the asking, and those are ideal for 1.2 gig and up. Well, if you get up to 10 gig, you need a pretty good surface, accurate surface. A lot of dishes don't meet that. And I think the future, there's more and more people getting into moon bounce. It's another area of challenges.
Well, it got started really in 1993 when the Friendship Amateur Radio Society held the first Friendship Radio Games in Victoria. These games are held every second year, and we have friendship societies in other countries, in Portland in the United States, in Khabarovsk in eastern Russia, Japan, and a couple of others have got interested lately. At that time there were those three, and those three countries came to Victoria. And there was, I don't know, 50 people or so. And one of the activities of those games is radio direction finding, and that's really what got me started. I was hooked from the time I first tried that.
The rules of the fox hunt are real basic. The purpose is to go out and find the hidden transmitter. The one who finds it in the shortest period of time wins, basically. So we work it out on minutes out from here to the fox. And that's really about it. There's the fox is in about 1,500 meter radius of the hotel, and I'm figuring they should take 45 minutes to an hour. I think this gentleman will be faster with his directional gear. And I think what they have to do, their task at the fox, is they have to punch a card, which has a distinctive paper punch, so that I know they've actually been there, and they write in the time from a clock, of which I only know the time. I've got that coordinated. So it's real simple. They go out, they look, fastest 1 to 8 wins.
far have we gone here?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe a kilometer.
In an international rules fox hunt, your first fox will be more than 400 meters from the start.
Yeah.
And we're maybe half again past that. So this is pretty close. It's also not very radio friendly.
No doubt.
There's too many hams on adjoining frequencies.
The presentation I'm going to do involves a profiling of many of the interesting people I met, many of my own personal experiences, my trip to the Belcher Islands. I'll be mentioning about 8 Papa 9 Bravo X-ray and the story of how I went into a hotel in Barbados. When I was there, I wasn't able to operate, so I found a shopping cart, and down the street I went, found a cemetery, a little chapel there with an AC power outlet, and we were on the air.
Like if I get on camera, then I usually get arrested.
Whatever it is, I don't know.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, honored and distinguished guests. It's my pleasure to be your Master of Ceremonies this evening, and I'm very honored and privileged. And my name is Ken Oakey, VE6AFO. I reside in Calgary. I'm not sure who I should blame for this. I think he's trying to get even with me. Well,
Thank you, Ken, for those very kind words. I stand before you this evening not as one person, but also representing our committee and countless volunteers. And I'd just like to hear one big round of applause for all the volunteers and committee members that helped put this weekend together. We're extremely fortunate to have the boys in yellow come through for us and assist us, and that's Kenwood Communications out of Mississauga. They've been incredible.
at 3 o'clock this afternoon, they contacted Arnie, and Arnie over the telephone, and Arnie has delivered to you folks this evening a 7-minute, is it 7 minutes, Doug? A 7-minute greetings. So here's Arnie on tape.
Hello, amigos. Hello, my friends at the Radio Amateurs of Canada, RAC 2002 convention. I'm sunny Havana, Cuba. The pleasure of the opportunity that we organizing committee efforts to be able to isolate you and at least say hello from here.
And it's sure nice that Arnie considered those few words. It takes the pressure off of you two, Winston. You can cut your speech by 7 minutes.
Funny thing is, when you attend a convention like this, you know, after a while, I mean, so many nice people. I got up this morning, about 7 o'clock, I took down the lights, went in the washroom, and I looked up and I said, "Good morning, my name is Winston Seeley." Talk about being out of it. Hey, listen, I got another one for you. How many of, no, I won't ask you. I won't ask you, I'm at the RAC. I used to be a CB operator. The last time I ever attended a CB function, and by the way, I'm not knocking the hobby. Don't ever think that. I enjoyed it to its fullest. But I went to a nice dinner, and they called them the CB breaks in Oshawa. I stood there inside the door, and I was about to sit down, and there was one incredible bread bun fight broke out. The bread buns were flying in the air everywhere. I didn't even stay for dinner. But I was just thinking before I got up, has everybody eaten all their bread buns?
Thank you, Winston. Thank you, Winston.
two things that I was trying to present here at RAC was, of course, we're doing a lot with APRS and satellites, but the other thing is we're trying to find a way to get everybody in a club to be able to participate in a special event, because that's what APRS was designed to do, is special events. It's a tactical, real-time way of getting the digital information around so that the voice networks are free to handle the real crises in real time. And the problem is that after 10 years, we're now just about at the 10-year point on APRS, is that 5% of the club can do APRS, the other 95% can't, and so you cannot plan an event entirely around APRS. So what I've developed just in the last month or two is, I call it APRS TT for APRS touch tone, and it allows anybody with a touch tone radio to enter APRS data. Their call sign, their position, or their message, or email, or anything else. Just like the Kenwood. The Kenwood, the human interface is the touch-tone keypad. You've still got to enter your message on this touch-tone keypad. So why does it doesn't have to be done in the radio? We can do that up on the mountaintop and convert it to APRS up there. So now anybody can enter data. It's not anywhere near as convenient as the Kenwood because you're entering data in the blind. You're not seeing as you're typing. You know, there's problems with it. But at least now somebody can enter data. And you say, well, what's the feedback path? There's no display on the radio. Well, it speaks back to you. It says, okay, you know, it reads back your call sign, so now it knows who it's talking to, and it'll repeat back what you entered, and you say, okay, that was a valid position, and now it'll put you out on the APRS system. But since APRS TT is listening on the APRS system, it's fully aware of the entire universe of APRS. So now you can query, where's the lead runner? Where is the water wagon? Where's the sag wagon? Where's the tail end Charlie? And it'll speak back to you. And so it's almost like having a voice response unit that has the universe of APRS at its disposal. Now that we've got a device up there talking, it can also talk whenever a satellite comes over and say, you know, UO22 is north at, and then so now the people who don't have the Kenwood will just monitor that APRS touch-tone voice frequency, and it will announce things to them, and they'll be in the loop. The other thing that a lot of people are overlooking in the Kenwood radio as an all-in-one integrated construct is that this thing has over 250 pages of information that can display about APRS. You know, you've got 50 users, each one of them has 5 pages, and you've got messages and everything else. We don't need to use those pages for APRS. We can send any kind of information we want that the local user needs to have displayed in front of him. And so that's one of the things we've been doing for the last 2 or 3 years is transmitting when an amateur satellite is in view. Most people would like to operate the space station or operate through when one of the FM satellites come over, but they don't know when the satellite is in view. Well, if you've got your Kenwood tuned to 144.39, the APRS frequency, if a satellite is in view, it's going to show up on the front panel of your radio as a tiny web page showing you the frequency, the Doppler, and everything else. So you don't even know that a satellite is coming in view, but while you're commuting, you're alerted to the fact that there's a satellite in it. So what is the hottest thing right now in ham radio besides APRS? It's IRLP and iLink and all those other things. Well, just like APRS is a global network, it's worldwide, and the internet is what ties all of our local APRS activity together. So now IRLP does that same thing for voice. Now I can talk to you in Germany, and all I need to know is what repeater code to enter, and I can talk to you via IRLP. But I have to have a list of 500 IRLP nodes and a touch-tone number, and I have to enter that touch-tone number to do it. In APRS, I should be in APRS, if I just enter a call sign and send you a message, you can be in Germany, you can be anywhere on the planet, and you're going to get that message. Why can I not just enter your call sign and say, I want to talk to you? And the APRS system will deliver that to the IRLP system, and the IRLP system will then patch up. The APRS system knows where you are. It knows where the other guy is by call sign. They both know where the IRLP nodes are, so why not just do the patch, and now you've got a voice channel. So it's like cellular phone on ham radio, and all you had to enter was the call sign. You don't have to have this list of nodes and remember codes and everything else. So that's what I think IRLP is the future of ham radio, and I think APRS is what is going to give us that connectivity and that digital signaling method to make it sort of happen automatically.
Wilfred Mulder, VE 708 Jim, as I called him yesterday, Mr. RAC 2002, give his closing remarks.
Wow. What an incredible weekend. Did you all have a great time? Again, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone and thank the countless volunteers, committee members, for their hard work and dedication in the past 2 years, definitely in the past year. I'd like to take this moment now and ask the committee to stand up. Stay standing. All the volunteers involved, please stand. Again, if it wasn't for the support in many, many ways from our main sponsor, Kenwood, this convention would never have happened. I'd like to ask Mr. Bob Harvey to step forward, please, to the podium. I would like to present a plaque, and it states, Kenwood Electronics Canada Inc., in appreciation of your support of the Canadian amateur radio community and the RAC 2002 convention. If it wasn't for your support, this would never have happened.
So this is the first ticket drawn, which means that if you hold this ticket and it matches up, you have your choice of the 5. The number, and I hope I can read this, 674332. He is the winner, so you get a choice of the 5 items. I call on Radio Amateurs of Canada President Bill Gillis, VE1WG, RAC Pacific Regional Director Dennis Livesay, VE7DK, and RAC 2002 Convention Chairman Wilfred Mulder, VE70HM, to come forward and reverse the procedure used for the official opening.
I got it.